In this unit of our InDesign CS6 course, we're going to discuss the options that are available under the Display Performance and Appearance of Black layout options working within our Preferences dialog box. Let's start with Display Performance. Basically what this does is this allows us to set rules for how graphic elements and text elements are placed within our InDesign documents and how they show up on the screen. The first option that we have here is to set the default view that we see whenever we place an element inside of our InDesign documents. Typical uses a low resolution proxy to where you can see what that graphic is, but it doesn't show it exactly as it was created. High quality essentially would give you the option to select that in such a way that the moment you place it, it will allow you to see that in the best possible way it was, very much like the graphic was originally created. Fast is an even lower resolution option that I generally don't use. I will, as a rule, set that for typical, and when I have a specific need to see something in high quality, I actually have the option to set that independently for elements underneath my Object pull-down menu. I also have the ability here where it says Preserve Object Level Display Settings. If I check that box, whatever I set for this default view is going to be what I see for the option in the object. Since sometimes I do need to see something in high quality, I'll generally leave that options box unchecked. And then we have the ability to adjust view settings for those layouts and define, for example, what high quality would look like, or in relative terms, what that low resolution, which in this case is it's set, is simply to gray it out and not show any elements of transparency. We can move these sliders to kind of fine-tune what we see for those default views. If we're not happy with what's originally set within InDesign CS6, we can simply choose the custom settings we want and then a typical or high quality default view that we've got up above. We have the ability of that anti-aliasing. We talked about that, what that was before, and Greek type below 7 points. What that means is that if that type is smaller than 7 points at a certain display view of 100% or less, what will happen is it'll simply show as kind of a gray box as opposed to actually trying to draw the characters that go inside that small line of type. We can always, of course, very quickly return to the defaults by simply clicking on this Use Defaults button right here. Appearance of black. This deals with how black, or an absence of color, when we're talking in RGB terms, or rich black, which is a combination of cyan, magenta, yellow, and key color black colors, will appear on screen and will print when you output the file. Let's talk about how that works on screen. Rich black actually is an absence of color when we're looking on screen for RGB and grayscale devices. So as I sit there and I talk about printing black, I have the ability to say that as all blacks, or I could see that as blacks accurately as I'm working with that. So however that would be defined. The rich black is fine as we're working with it on screen because it gives us a really nice dark black color. And as you can see that looks a little bit darker on most screens than the kind of grayish view that we have right over here. Printing and exporting. Now this is a different issue. We have the options once again to output all blacks as rich black or to output the blacks accurately as they're defined. Selecting rich black when you create that will turn black elements into a combination of cyan, magenta, yellow, and key color black. All 4 of those cartridges if you're running with a CMYK inkjet printer as an example. Selecting Output All Blacks accurately when you're working with that low resolution inkjet printer will simply use up the black cartridge to create that, so your color cartridges will last a little bit longer. That's how it works on the low end on the proofing side. On the high end, when you're dealing with process color printing and creating plates for a press run, say, of a 100,000 copy magazine, selecting that output all blacks accurately means that by default, when InDesign creates the separations that are built off that page or loads the information into the PDF that you create, it will use 100% black as opposed to automatically making that in cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, or a 4-color process printing of any black that you have on your pages. We have an overprinting of black, and in this case the overprinting of black swatch is at 100%. What that basically means is when we're printing in that cyan, magenta, yellow, and black, that the black is what will go on top. So it'll lay over the top of any colors. That keeps it from getting accidentally dulled if it runs in contrast to any color cartridges as you're working with your low-end proofing printer, or if you're dealing with process separations for high-quality offset printing, like you would be with that 100,000 circulation magazine.